Warning. Pro-Tri News is a podcast with different opinions, knowledge, and possibly fake news about triathlon racing. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and some stories may be dramatized for comedic effect. Enjoy.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Pro-Tri News. I'm your host, Kyle Glass, joined by the usual Pat Lemieux and Mark Matthews. However, we are joined today by the current reigning Ironman World Champion, Casper. Casper, can you tell everyone how to say your last name? Because there's been some controversy on how to say your last name.
In English, it's Stornes, but in Norwegian, it's Stornes.
Stornes.
Stornes. With the R. Stornes.
One more time, Carl.
Stornes.
Yeah, that's good. I approved.
Awesome. Casper, well, we didn't get a chance to catch up after the race. I think that the media was kind of like crowding around you and stuff like that. And you were getting, I saw your face and I was like, Casper doesn't want to talk to anyone right now. He wants to go and take a hot shower and get comfortable. So we figured that it would be easier to just have you come on, chat on the show with us, kind of about like the race itself. And then also what's happened over the last like 36 months of your Olympic period, and then come into long course, switch in training groups, things like that. So let's kick it off with kind of just tell us about the race from your perspective, just like swim, bike, and run.
Yeah, so I already knew from the rumors that some guys will put some pressure on the swim. So yeah, I also met Jamie Riddle in the streets before the race, and yeah, talked with him, and I kind of understood that yeah, they were gonna put pressure on it. So yeah, I could feel it. Yeah, around every time we turned, then they were like pushing for 1 or 2 minutes. So, but yeah, I felt they were comfortable in a group, and yeah, just try to save as much energy as possible. Out on the bike, I took on like the aero calves to save some minutes. We tested that it was 3 minutes or around 3 minutes faster with the calves. So I thought it was okay to lose 30 seconds in transition. I also saw Christian with me then he came up when I took on the calves, and then I was like, okay, then I'm safe kind of with getting into the hill, and I knew Christian wanted to go hard on the bike also in the hill. So yeah, then I just kept on there, and then I suddenly heard that Sam were behind, and I was like, what happened there? Did they have a flat or anything that I didn't saw? So then after 5 minutes into like the long hill, he came past, and then I took his wheel within the range of the race ranger. So yeah, it felt comfortable, and then I saw behind that we had a gap suddenly, and then it was just me, Christian, him, and Gustav, and one more. So then Sam had split the field kind of. And also I heard we had 1.5 minutes to Martin and those. So then I was starting to calculate of, yeah, I don't need to actually get closer than this, just keep the same distance, since I felt I could run that in easily. But yeah.
On that one, I thought it was really interesting. Christian, at that point, so you've kind of taken us up to the plateau, I'm guessing, right? And then
Yeah,
it looked like as he hit the tailwind, laid low, like dropped the hammer, as he had to, because he knows he can't
Yeah.
run against. When Christian covered him, you were a little bit further back in the group. Could you have made it up to them, or did you choose not to because it was just a bit too hard?
I tried to go around and
Yeah,
then try to get up, but the gap was too big when I started to try to close it.
yeah.
And then I were almost up, but then I felt like, oh, this is way too hard. I'm gonna kind of blow myself. So then I knew I had Gustav there also, and he's very good technical on the bike downhill. So it was limited of how much we would lose to the downhill. And then I felt like if we could just keep okay pressure here, it's limited of how much time they can take. And then wanted to just try to follow Gustav downhill. And then, yeah, I know that he is the fastest downhill, basically.
Casper, the bike, watching the bike, I guess for us, it seemed to go by really quickly. It's like we wait for the 1 hour to get to the climb, then you get to the climb. then it's, you know, you do the climb, then it's the plateau across the top, and all of a sudden then you're waiting for the descent, and then next thing you know, you're in town. Did it feel to go by quick for you in that group as well? Or were you like, did you break it up into stages, or did you feel like, okay, wow, this is a really long time. I really have to focus on this whole bike?
I didn't felt it was going slow, actually. I felt it was going like, yeah, quite fast, since we like been doing the course a lot. So I was kind of like bored of the course before I started the competition, since we've done so many loops in it. So I just knew where I were for the whole time in the course, and knew like the new or the next turn. So it was like very easy to, yeah, motivate yourself in the course. And also when Sam also came up, the pace went up, and then that was a bit more fun, actually. And then you are coming to the out and back section, and then it's just like downhill basically, and then a small uphill afterwards, and then downhill again. So it's like easy to entertain yourself. So yeah, it felt quite fast actually for the whole bike.
I think you should have realised at that point that you were going to win, because no one says trying to follow Sam Laidlow is fun. Like at that point, you should have been like, I am on a fucking good day.
Yeah, I were feeling I had a really good day, so like never getting tired probably. I was just feeling like I could push and push and push. But yeah, I needed to be careful also. So it's if you go a little bit over, it's like you burn your matches there. So
You know, and I think, look, Casper, it was whispered about rather loudly that you were on some really good form coming into the race. I think we have a very hard time understanding what's truth and what's not when we hear it from your training partners, KB and Gustav. And so I want to say you went a little underestimated, right? And I think that's probably fair to say. But
yeah.
did you know in the month leading in, like, okay, I'm getting some signals that I am actually trending really well? And when did you really believe, like, okay, I can win this thing come Sunday in Nice?
Yeah, like after Frankfurt, I felt like I got good like answers, and felt like yeah, I missed something in the nutrition part in Frankfurt. So I missed like 300-400 grams of carbs in the competition. I felt like, okay, that's 4 or 5 minutes on a run basically. And I were calculating it, and then I really dialed in the nutrition in training, and then yeah, training has just been going smoothly, and felt I had a really good shot of winning. But Christian has been beating us on basically every session. So then I was like thinking every day of how am I gonna beat Christian and Gustav, since Gustav also were like just absorbing every session like a swamp. Like he took every session and just like got better and better. So yeah, it was really keeping me on the toes also. I couldn't like put the guard down. And then yeah, the last 2 weeks when we started to do the race pace sessions, and yeah, it feels so easy to run 3:25 for the 9Ks, and I was like, okay, I can win this. So yeah, it was just amazing to feel the body working so well.
And when we came onto the run, I mean, Mark and I are jumping to this point, but Mark and I saw you. We were riding next to you very early on in the race. KB and Gustav gapped you, and you were very vigilant about looking at your watch. Were you at that moment saying into yourself, okay, I'm not going to exceed my pacing this early? Or what are you saying to yourself as you're looking at your watch at that point?
When they went like after 6 or 7K, they were actually running way faster than 3:30. It was more 3:20 or maybe a bit faster. So then I was like trying to hold it a little bit in the start, but like, nah, this is not sustainable for a full marathon. So I was like just settling down to 3:30 pace again. And then they got like a 30-second gap or something. Then I saw it didn't increase anymore. And then I suddenly started to gain on them again. And I saw they were running zigzag in a road, and started to look at each other. And I was like, okay, either they don't want to pull in the headwind, or they're starting to get fatigued. So when I came up to them, I looked a bit at them, and it seems like they had a little bit of grimace. And then I was like, either they're faking it, and Christian started to make some sound afterwards, like making some like struggling sounds when I got to the front in the middle of the promenade there.
Like,
So
ah.
yeah, no, but just like breathing very heavily, and so then I was like pushing it a bit again, and then we dropped Gustav, and yeah, then it was just me and Christian, and then I started to get really afraid that he wanted to do the same he did to me in Frankfurt, be behind for one lap, and then just hammer down and drop me. So I tried to get him to pull, but then he said like, no, then Gustav is going to come up again. So yeah.
So on that though, so you and Christian, I saw you discussing it, and I figured you were talking about the gap to Gustav, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, we need to press, or Gustav will come back up. Did it occur to you that him and Gustav had been having that exact same conversation about you about 20 minutes before? Because they were obviously going, we got to keep on, or Casper will come back, and now it's you and Christian like, we got to keep on, or Gustav will come back. But then you finish, and you're all instantly friends again. It's quite cutthroat to then be, you guys do it better than anyone I've ever seen. Switch between training partners and then race, and you actually really race each other. How is my question, I guess.
Yeah, like I think we let each other be ego in training, and like we let each other like be the one we are in some way. Like if Christian pushes in training, like I can complain as much as I want and have been doing for the last weeks, and he's like really been pushing it in training. Like an easy ride was 300 watts basically every session. So like he were just pushing it, and I were like kind of complaining a little bit, and then he just says to me, yeah, you will tank me in 4 weeks, and then you're going to be a world champion. So yeah, it like we let each other be who we are, and just yeah, we can argue a bit, but then we are friends again afterwards. So it's like, yeah, we just enjoy being together and have fun, actually.
That's really cool. And it does make a lot of sense that you have to let each other be your own personality without shutting each other down, or it just wouldn't work. We've talked about Christian a lot. I'll come back to a race question about Christian in a minute, if I may. He's obviously, and I think you'll agree, like one of the greatest that's ever done it across all the distances. No one's been as good as him at all distances at the same time, probably ever. With that does that create a pressure for him in the race? Do you think that's why he's more responsive? Like he goes with laid low, he goes with the front. Is it a pressure thing, or is it just the way he is, the way he races?
He wants for sure race aggressively, but he is also very smart in his way of thinking in racing. So like before the races, he reflects a lot on different scenarios and how he should execute a race. And also like he shares a lot with us also, like even his weaknesses. So like yeah, like after Frankfurt, he shared that I felt weak on a bike. I need to do something with it. And like I also said to him, like, yeah, I kind of felt it also. And then I said basically straight to him, like, that's if it is like that in Nice, I would take advantage of it. And he were like, yeah, no. And then he gets motivated by that to, yeah, do it better in training. And I think that's one of our strengths also, that we all share our strengths and weaknesses and see that if Christian gets better, I get better. So yeah.
Then like on that though, you said he's really smart. Me and Pat were saying as you were getting into the race on the bike, like you just looked like a master. You were so patient, so smart with the way you race, so disciplined across the times. Was there any point though you were surprised? So when I saw you, I felt bad. You looked at us and you said, "What's the time gap?" And I said 1:10, and I knew it was going out so fast that I like gunned my little B-bike down the course. You had a mate up there, one of the sponsors anyway, because I knew the next time check you get was going to be like 2 minutes, and I thought you'd be like, "There's no way I've done 50 seconds in like 3K or whatever it was." Were you surprised how much better you were on the run on the day?
Yeah, since Christian been beating us in basically every run session. The only session I beaten him in is the week before. Then he were really smashed on our brick session, and he didn't finish. So that's the first session he hasn't finished since Frankfurt. And yeah, but that was more about like maybe fueling the days before. So it was nothing with his shape. It was just that emptiness in the body. But we all had it also. But I got through the session. But that's the only session I've been beating him. So yeah, that's why I've been thinking day in day out how I'm gonna beat him in the race. But yeah, it's a hard one. But yeah, I were surprised that I were so much better that day. Yeah.
I was actually almost late onto the show because I was watching your GTN interview. Good for them. They got you straight after the race. It's a really good interview. If you haven't watched that, go watch that after this. It was really good. But you mentioned you had stomach cramps in the morning of the race, and they sort of only
Yeah,
went
we're a
away
bit bad in the stomach. Yeah. Yeah,
Do you
we're a
think
bit
that's
worried.
was it nerves?
What?
Do you think it was just nerves or what?
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it was like I've been swimming a lot of open water with the salt water the days prior, and we're maybe swallowing a bit too much water 2 days before, and I didn't swim the day before, but I were a bit bad in the stomach after swimming open water so much. So yeah, I were a bit bad in the stomach in the morning, and then I felt it a little bit on the bike. But then I were a bit worried when I came to the run, but like it just went away and I didn't think so much about it. So yeah, maybe a bit nervous stomach, but when I came to the run, everything were good.
I think that's a really good one for a lot of our listeners because I think a bit of an upset belly in the morning of a race is actually super normal. So many of our
Yeah.
listeners have it in races. And if you can win a world championships and make it look easy off a dodgy stomach, us age groupers can definitely man up and get round, I think. So fair.
Yeah.
And then Casper, what was that like? I mean, since crossing the line up until now, like what's that kind of week look like for you? Like having your family there, girlfriend, like everything.
Yeah, it was very special having my family there. So yeah, they were so happy, and yeah, just be able to celebrate it with them. So it wasn't like a big party afterwards. We went out, me and my family, and Gustav and Christian and their family, and also some sponsors came by, and managers came to just say hello and congratulate. So we had just a chill dinner after the race. And then it was the day after all interviews with like GTN and also Ironman, and yeah, filming with sponsors. So I think I got like 1 hour on the beach the day after, just chilling a bit, but it wasn't much. And then when I came home, it's been like phones ringing all the time, and yeah, managed to move the body a little bit, like, but that was the plan also, just move the body a little bit, go out for a easy spin, swim a bit, and then I've been running 3 times since the race. So yeah, I felt okay, but of course the body has been like a bit what have happened, and then it's also going through my mind the 70.3 worlds coming up in some weeks. That yeah, now I have a big target on my back, and yeah, it's a not worrying feeling, but a bit strange feeling that people expect me to do well there. So it's not
So
for certain. So, but yeah.
yeah, but after your difficult run or impossible run into 70.3 worlds last year, I think going into it as a world champion rather than after a bike crash is going to be a more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, for sure.
So you talk about a target on your back there and then all the sponsor engagements. I would say you've probably got a target on your back for sponsors now. You know, you are the lightest sponsored of the kind of the Norwegian trio. And the interesting thing I find is that Christian and Gustav are obviously with Santara, Adam Ackworth, but you're with Ronnie, same age as Laidlow. Can I ask why you choose Ronnie over Adam? And the being one thing?
No, it just came naturally. He asked me back in 2021 after the Olympics, and if I needed some help, then I had another guy helping me then. And then later on in 22, I changed manager, and then I started talking with Ronnie, and then we got a good connection, and then I felt he is the right guy for me to develop as an athlete, and also protect my interest and be the best representing person for me.
I think it's a lovely answer. And I can tell you, as me and Pat were with Ronnie in VIP, it was the three of us stood together when you were winning. He's really, really glad he asked you back then. He's super smug about that, and he was a very happy man. I think it's a great decision. I look forward to seeing, because you've got some space. You know, I think that there are some. You don't have a shoe sponsor, do you? There's lots of other bits and bobs. So watching your space fill up will be interesting for the nerds in the sport. I know Pat will be watching, etc.
Yeah, he is working hard, and I see he's working very hard. So I'm not worried for anything. So he's a hardworking guy, and it's also easy for me to talk with out of sports also. So like just having normal conversations is also something that's important for me. Not that anyone is not easy to talk with, but like I feel relaxed around him, and that's something that's important for me. With like, could be 100% honest with a manager, like, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and he understands me, what I need. So.
And you're engaged, are you?
Yes.
Are you engaged? Is the scale of the wedding gone up since the weekend? Is the expenditure? Because if I was your girlfriend, I would be going, we need doves. And
my sister is getting married next year, so we will not get married before next year at least. So but we've been together for almost 8 years now, and we got engaged now in January, just before I went to the camp in Nice. So it must be a lucky engagement, I think, since I went to Nice there and won there now. So but we enjoy life. Things have been going it's been happening a lot the last year, with like changing environments, and now Nice, and the whole thing has been like very fun, and we just enjoy the life at the moment.
Casper, let's rewind a bit to like 2023. Obviously you raced the test event that didn't go kind of how you would expect it to go. And then you went on to win 70.3 Indian Wells, qualified for 70.3 Worlds in Taupo, and then went kind of on a journey to try and get that last qualification spot for Norway. Kind of tell us what that whole Olympic cycle was like, and then moving forward.
Yeah, it's actually started with the disaster of the Olympic qualification started actually after my crash in Asakena in 22. Then I got a stress reaction in talus bone in the ankle. It took so long time getting back. After the World Cup in Bergen in the end of August that year, I could barely walk after the race, and I were signed up for the Dallas race in the US, and then I was in so good shape back then, and then I just thought, okay, I do 3 weeks without running, try to just show up and do the best of it. I did that, ran 500 meter, and couldn't do more. Went back to Norway, took an MRI. Big stress reaction. I got a small crack in the bone also, so it wasn't so good. I didn't run before January again, and from there on, it was basically a struggle to I didn't got to train like proper capacity training on the run that winter into the 23 season. So I basically got thrown into the season and tried to build some shape out of it. And then that year wasn't going well. I did well in the Wells, but in 24 I was so far behind on the rankings, and tried to qualify for Paris, but my shape were too bad in a way to compete at the highest level, and couldn't get the points. So then I traveled around, and we qualified mixed relay for Norway. So that was nice for them, having a mixed relay team. And then I had the crash in Taupo, got
I
taken
think that's,
down.
but that's something that doesn't get recognized. Like, you traveled around, scored all the points, did loads of traveling work to get a mixed relay team for your country that you're then like not in, right?
Yeah, we're not in.
It's
So
brutal. It's selfless but brutal.
it's brutal, but also sports is brutal. Like, if you are not good enough, it is what it is. Like, you need to take it, and either you could lay down or you can rise up and try to get back to it. So yeah, after the Olympic qualification like had been taken and the team were set, I kind of like just felt like I were more calm, like no more pressure or anything for me or like performing for getting a slot. So then I started to make good results, did some World Cup podiums and also European Championship podium. So that was very good. And then I felt like I were on a high into the World Championship in New Zealand, or the 70.3. But yeah, there I got taken down 2 days before the competition, and yeah, ruptured my ribs, and yeah, I tried to go out for a run the day before the race and try to like feel how it is to run a bit hard or easy, but I couldn't breathe properly, and it was so painful that I would never have managed to swim for the race and bike and anything. Like, I was so smashed. So yeah.
And then the
Cat,
decision to go, I guess, leave McCall and go into the training camp with KB and Gustav. What was the decision behind that of like, I'm going to go this direction?
Yeah, so you could kind of say, like, with the World Cup podiums and stuff like that, I had like my best season kind of with on short distance at the back end of the season, but I didn't got like that aha experience, like, oh yeah, now we're on a good way to LA, and yeah, now I'm ready to grind to smash it to get back to WCCS next year. So then I was like, for my own motivation for the years to come, like, I would at least do this for 10 more years.
Yeah.
So for me getting further, I wanted to take more responsibility for my own career, my own training, and also my own development. And when Gustav and Christian also were going to go solo and wanted to go long distance, I was like, this is really tempting and this is something I want to do. So we had a lot of discussion here, back here, me and Vilda, about the way further and what we're gonna do. Or yeah, she also has something to say in it, and it's also make our lives a bit easier. Also, I can choose more how my daily life is. I choose with the training and everything. I could also from before, but like, yeah, it's easier in a way when I'm self-coached, and also with Gustav and Christian. I wanted to be with them, and I think they were or is a good match for me to be the best in the world, and
Yeah.
obviously it's been a good match. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't regret anything.
Did they
I'm
reach
really
out to
happy.
you first, or did you reach out to them first?
I were actually talking a bit with Gustav and Christian, just before swimming and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I feel, this is what I feel I want to do. And they were like, okay, come join us then. Like, we would like to train with you. It's like, get back to us three again.
Yeah.
And that I actually got really happy for, and we're like, yeah, maybe I should do it. And then I took the decision around Christmas, and then I felt like it was a big falling curve. It could be a big falling curve going solo out of the national team and everything. But I felt like this is right for me. For my motivation and my drive further is like, yeah, this is something I need to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm extremely motivated further now also. So
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Casper.
yeah, it's is nice. It's also been like very good on the national team. So don't get me wrong, but like it's more about we are all individuals, and like I feel you need to think about your own career. So it's been awesome on the national team, but like I think all of us three were in a place in our career that now we maybe need to take responsibility for our own training. We've been learning so much from Arild, Olav, Mikael over the years that it's we have learned so much, and we have so much knowledge in training that doing this together is something, and make our own program for what we learn from those three coaches is like something that's good for us.
I'm sure one day one of you will have some success, and that'll be great.
Yeah. I hope we soon get some success, since it's been a rough year.
Casper, look, it's great every time that the World Championships happen, and this has been a theme now the past couple of years where we get the Pro Series released during the week, right? So have you started to plan and think about your season for 26? And then ultimately now, how are you going to be, preparing your season to defend your title on the Big Island in October of 26?
Fucking hell, the guy just won the Ironman World Champs. Let him enjoy it for once.
He can enjoy it, but I mean, certainly they're all looking at it and talking about it. So I think,
of course, I've been thinking about it. I haven't been on the island, so that's going to be the first time. So, but Gustav and Christian has, and I think they will teach me a lot, or learn me a lot about what's important and what's not important. And I don't know but mostly my plan will be around Gustav and Christian, and they will be around my plan. So I think we'll make a plan together. So I don't think it will be so that one of us do T100 and one do the Ironman series. That I don't see that we do that. So, but we haven't talked about next season. We're gonna sit down now and talk about the road towards Marbella. So we take one step at a time. But of course, I've been thinking and replaying it in my head many times now with Kona, and how I'm gonna defend my title. But I know it's gonna be so hard, and it's gonna be a shit show on that island. It's gonna be so hard. And but I know Gustav and Kristen is so motivated. Patrick is probably also motivated. Sam, and then I have Martin also coming, and then it's like a lot of young guns also coming in, and it's like it's not going to be an easy task to take that world title. But I feel that's something that motivates me also to really kick ass.
I can't help but think the patience that you showed in Nice will only be like more beneficial in Kona. It's a race that sort of seems to come to people, the one that waits, the one that makes sensible choices. So I think you'll be fine in Kona. Casper, we're going to talk about T100 races, hot takes and stuff like that. And I'm conscious that you've done so many interviews this week. So we'll let you get off and won't drag you into chatting about T100 if you don't want. Thank you so much for coming on. With your engagement, with a world title under your belt, it feels like a really, really good time to be Casper Stornes right now. And thank you for sharing
good.
a bit.
I love it.
Yes. Oh, we love to hear it. Thanks a lot for coming on, mate.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay, one last question, Casper. Give us your picks for the women's race in Kona coming up here in a couple weeks.
Okay, Solveig on first.
Fair.
Then, I think she has had like a good progression through the season. I know how good she are on the long distance stuff, and I think she can do really well. So I'm not surprised if she win. Then Kat Matthews on second. Yeah, she gets a podium.
We'll take it.
And Laura Phillips on third. Yeah.
A reverse of the Hamburg podium.
Yeah, maybe Chelsea can be up there, but like I feel those three has been like on another league this year. So good in all the races they've been shown up to, and I think it's going to be hard for anyone beating them. So as long as Solveig tighten her bolts on the bike and everything, I think she will be good. So,
Well,
but yeah,
she has an average marathon time of 2:46, including Lake
yeah,
Placid. So the girl's got talent. It's fair. Thank you for
she
that,
can
though.
run.
She
So
really
yeah, I
can run.
think
Yeah.
yeah, she can run. So yeah, it would be cool if another Norwegian takes takes the victory. So that would be awesome. But yeah, it's gonna be a hard battle there, and yeah, that's a race I actually really want to look at. So looking forward to it.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks, Casper.
Thank you.
So we just paused, said goodbye to Casper. We're back into the show. It was one of those conversations where we absolutely should have kept recording because it's brilliant. So just a little snippets. He's gone from 19,000 Instagram followers to 47,000 in 1 week. That'll do it. The guy is just living on a high. And Pat and Kyle, we were there after the race, or as he was going to win. Did you see a single person that wasn't over the moon with the fact Casper was going to win?
No. I mean, I have goosebumps right now just thinking about it and like how happy I was and how happy everyone kind of was. I think it's also just a testament to like the Norwegian boys as a whole. Like they love triathlon and they eat up the fans. Like they love every aspect of it. And for Gustav to return back to form, return back to a podium at a world championship after all he's been through the last 2 seasons. Christian Blumenfeld is been on a tear this season. Like you don't root for like I feel like you don't root for the athletes that you necessarily see like every session from, but like they're so transparent. You can literally go to their their Strava and see every session they've ever done, and like it's just cool that we have some leaders in our sport like that are at the top of their game and still like human enough that they want to engage with the fans, the media, things like that.
No, and I guess I'm the only thing that I'm probably a little bit bummed that I didn't mention to him was just, if he can see the moment for what it is and realize like how special it is that it's these three dudes that are self-coaching each other and just swept an Ironman World Championship podium, right? And understand just like this moment in time that we're in, and again, they all seem like buddies. They chat like buddies. To have that little anecdote that he shared of Christian saying after Frankfurt, like, man, I'm not strong enough on the bike. Like I gotta lock in here these next 2 months, right? And to think about that and that openness is something that's really special. And then I guess the only thing that I'm bummed I didn't ask him about was, does he feel like next year potentially there's going to be a little bit more strategy or gamesmanship around looking at the two dynamite performances that Christian had? And surely Christian has to think like, do I leave a little bit? Do I hold back a little bit earlier in the year and save a little bit more for Kona? Or are there going to be guys next year that go, okay, no, I'm going to go all in for Taupo, and I'm going to back it up real quickly in South Africa. Then I'm going to do a hard reset and go all in for Kona in the fall. And I just think that what will that look like, And I think that's something that I'm just excited to see. But that ultimately, that was one of my biggest takeaways on the men's side for the race in Nice. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I really thought he just raced a better race than the others. I know we can talk about the form you have coming into it, and he finally beat Christian in a session and that. But I just think on the day he executed better. He was just smarter. The race just seemed to come to him, which I know is a cliche. And he totally believed himself on that run. Like the way he ran away from them was just majestic to watch. I wonder, next year, I'm intrigued. I just can't see them doing T100. I think maybe they will. Maybe the money will be enough.
Yeah, but we're going to tap into this in hot takes, but because you brought it up now, I'm going to interrupt, so I apologize.
No, please do.
I think the curveball next year for T100 is that they eliminate contracts and they go to a much more open schedule, right? As a way to get access to these, we'll call them the big 15. And we could
That's
kind
more. You say that too. They have more. They're not missing the big 15, Pat. They're missing some, but I think you over-egged the number they're missing.
Okay,
because
11?
they have loose
The big
they have
11
loose
the big,
Charles, they have Hayden Wild. They're not the big. They're missing like 5 or 6 really big names, but they do have Hayden. They do have Lucy.
but they don't. But they don't have Christian. They don't have Gustav. They don't have Lionel. They don't have our current world champion. They don't have Cat Matthews.
They don't have Jonas.
Don't
You
have
know,
Laura
I mean,
Bennett.
We could
okay,
get to 10 names pretty
so
easily.
we could try not that hard
Yeah,
and get to
okay.
10.
Okay.
So
yeah, okay. Sorry.
So I just think that's the curveball for next year for me. And the schedule, the way that the Pro Series calendar came out, it's going to probably, based on the T100 calendar, it's going to permit a little bit more freedom from May till September 1, right? And I think that's something where you can go and do those races. So
if they don't do contracts,
I don't think that's going to be the easiest way to save $3 million a year right there. No contracts.
But then they have to up the prize money. No one's going to go do the race for $25,000 to win.
Yeah, no, I mean they might just say, look, like we'll give everybody a $2,500 travel voucher and you got free hotels.
And we do big media on it, and there is the end of season bonus, maybe.
Yeah,
I think they'll put $1 million back into that. I think they'll save $2 million, put $1 million back into the prize money, up it slightly.
Yeah, that's what I think too, and I think that's a great and I think that's a great idea. So sorry, I forget what our actual point was, but on that, but
I was saying I can't see. I was thinking the contract thing. I can't see the Norwegians signing a T100 contract. I think Ironman has been, not the brand themselves, but the sport has been too good for them recently. You know, like they are just riding a wave, and you see them in Nice, and they are the shit. You don't get a reception from fans like that at T100 race. Like when the Norwegians checked in, we were all there. The crowds, like they're having to be
roared for bike checking. It roared. It was so loud.
They have to get like pushed through. They need security getting into that place. When KB rolls up, and Laidlow as well, to be fair, there are 4 of them, and Casper will now join that crowd. It's hard to step away from that, surely.
Yeah. Should we get into the race that happened this weekend? 200 Spain. Did you guys watch the race?
I actually did. I did.
What did you guys think? I mean, I like the fact that they're doing the overlap, like men and women are racing at the same day, a certain time apart, whether it's 20 minutes that we had at the French Riviera race or an hour, which we had this weekend. I kind of like the overlap because then you're not like, I love triathlon, but you're not burning 2 days watching a race. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And I thought the gap this time was about perfect because basically the men were on the back half of the bike. All the gaps have been settled, all the drama had been done, and then the women start. And we watched a bit of women's swimming. There was a small quad box with the men's bike. That worked really well. And then the men run once the women are sort of settled on the bike or they're going out. And then by the time the women start the run, the men have totally finished. They've even done some of the interviews, and you get to watch the whole women's bike. I think it was an hour 15 gap. And I think that was absolutely perfect for T100, that gap. I thought it worked really well for the broadcast for them. Before we go into the race, I thought the broadcast team were good. Emma Snowsill is clearly taking Jan's wife. She's taking his mantle on the commentary and clearly researching it, clearly doing a really, really good job of it. So I thought the race as a whole was pretty excellently executed by T100.
Yep.
Especially considering they were about to, I mean, this race was going to be canceled. It was supposed to be somewhere else.
Yep. The broadcast product for T100 is, I want to say it's always very close to exceptional. I would say part of that is, again, if you want to be on HBO here in the States, you have to have a product that's worthy of that. And I think they've developed something that certainly is. That they're not going to put a Mickey Mouse program on that platform. So I think we're lucky that we get to see that with T100. Again, this race was canceled because of a construction in a port in Valencia, and it got moved and happened to be moved to the same weekend anyway. So I think that's the crew that pulled that off gets a ton of credit because that's not something that you can really plan for. So yeah, got to give respect where it's due there. Mark,
Should
talk us through the actual race.
Okay, well, our boy Jonas Schoenberg, after 6 days of racing at a Ironman World Championship in Nice, let out of the water. No surprise. We had a pretty large front swim group. I think it was 15 guys, maybe in the end of that. So they were kind of getting organized on the bike. There was a little bit of drama. Kyle Smith and Rico Bogan ended up getting a penalty for it.
That was
go
a
back
shit
and watch
show.
that.
It
Was ridiculous.
Because going out onto the bike, they needed to announce there was like a
gray zone.
They need to
Neutral
announce
zone.
there's like a neutral zone where you can just draft like fuck. Because because the camera bike followed the referee bike. So you can see where the referee bike is. The camera bike's stuck behind the referee bike. The referee bike spends 5 minutes watching guys just draft like mental. Not much they can do because the front's not moving fast enough yet. They're all bunched up. They all got out in one big group. The road's too narrow. They're kind of compressed. So they should have, like in hindsight, if you're not going to give those penalties because the ref is making that decision, call it a grey zone. But then all these guys in the back, loads of them, just like full on drafting. And
Taking
then the referee, 100%. And then the referee gets to the front. She finally gets clear on the back of the bike, gets to the front, sees someone cut in or something, and pops Carl Smith and Rico Bogan with penalties, who were the only two people driving the pace that would allow that group to stretch out and get clear. And I don't know how in her head she was like, I've just watched 10 minutes of racing. Do you know who needs penalties? Carl Smith and Rico Bogan. It doesn't make any sense to me because Rico does his penalty, drops a chain, gets back on, and is still the fastest and first off the bike. Like, he is not drafting. He's just in a fucking melee, and you picked him of all people. If you had any context on it and she knew who he was, what she's just watched for 5 minutes, that is not the penalty they would be giving.
Just to add to the shit show, since you brought it up, Mark, Rico Bogan did serve a penalty. He was supposed to have a minute, and if you go back and watch the broadcast, it's only about a 40-second penalty. So that just adds to the shit show that was whatever the officiating happened.
Well, whoever the bloke in the box was, or the woman in the box that was timing it and saw Rico Bogan come in for a drafted penalty, hats off to you when you went, what are you doing here? Get back up.
So, in the end, Kyle Smith also served his penalty. Fastest bike split went to Rico Bogan after serving his penalty. And
which is mad, by the way. And dropping a chain, getting off, putting it back on. The boy can ride a bike.
Yeah. And then there was a group that came in together off the bike. I believe it was like 3 or 4 people. Fastest out of transition, though, was Yellow Geens. He put his shoes on faster than anything I've ever seen in my entire life. And kind of went to work. Hayden Wild then chased down Yellow Geens. Had the fastest run split of the day, ended up winning the race by about 2.5 minutes. So
he was on a different planet. He was just by far the best athlete. He never looked stressed on the bike. He covered all the moves like with absolute ease, and he was just by far the best runner. You know, when he surged, he was running like sub 3 minute K pace at periods. Like he was just better. And it's been the repeating trend, but all of the drama that we've pulled ourselves into over the last few weeks, it just quite simply doesn't take away from the fact that over this 100K distance, he cannot be touched right now.
And he can win in Birkenstocks and Crocs or whatever shoes.
He'd give that 100%. Yeah.
Do you guys think that this is so? Hayden's now won 4 T100 races in a row. Do you think that this is one of the greatest runs we've ever seen at like a middle distance? I don't recall ever seeing
stretch. But the problem is there'll be bigger runs than that, but you won't think of it because it'll be like Jan doing a 70.3 to qualify for the World Champs, winning the World Champs. He won't do another one. He'll do a qualification. He'll win the World Champs. There's probably some stretches out there, but and T100 is different to like a middle distance per se. But it's a good point, Carl. I don't remember anyone that like you would have so much money on to win. Like there's no way you're putting money on anyone else.
Yep.
Cool. Move on to the women's race.
Oh, well, who round up the podium? Who finished
Hayden Wild, first place. Yellow Geens, second place. And Jonas Schoenberg, third place.
That is why I want you to round up the podium.
That's insane.
days after the Ironman World Championships where he came sixth. He had one of the best runs of the day. He was absolutely brilliant. He was aggressive from the start. And in 6 days, he came third in a T100 race. That is mental.
Do you
And it's
think
niche.
that
It's not like an easy, it's not like an easy
No.
Ironman. It's like a hard Ironman. Incredible.
I'm glad you bring that up because it's like Martin Van Riel did this earlier in the season. He did Ironman South Africa and then backed up the week later at
With second in
Singapore. But like this is the Ironman World Championship. It's not an easy course. Like you put a lot into this, and then for him to walk up, I was messaging with some people and they were like, "Oh no, Jonas just said he was here on vacation." So,
But that mindset probably served him well. I bet he did nothing all week. I bet he just chilled, did a little bit of jogging, a little bit of running, and got it done. It's amazing. The
Yeah.
fitness levels these days. It's the results don't show how much better the athletes are nowadays than 20 years ago. I mean, they do if you look into the times, but it's the repeatability they have now just did not exist 20 years ago. Part of that's carbs. Like part of that is what's limiting them is no longer the nutrition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was incredible.
A couple of more people I want to go just a little bit further down the list. Matisse Magirier, who hasn't had the best last 2 seasons. That's a good result for him. Sam Dickinson, who had been begging for a T100 start whenever I was chatting with him at Swansea, now has 2 of them and has a podium and a 5th place. And then the Spanish athlete, Guillem Moreno, who took a wild card going into this race, 6th place, beat a handful of guys that are on a contract. So
that's a good result.
Great result for him. So, moving on to the women's race, no surprise. Leading out of the water was Lucy Charles Barclay. There was a group of them. They all went to work on the bike. Jess Learmonth ended up with a penalty, unfortunately. And then it was pretty much Lucy's race all day long. It was her and Kate Woff kind of trading blows. And then fastest bike split of the day, however, went to Rebecca Anderberry.
Where have we heard that name before, boys? Where have we heard that name? On Pro Tri News. For her race in Poznan. Yeah, with the 206 we talked about, and we got messages straight away like, well, was it legit? Well, now are you asking if it was legit? It was very legit. She can ride a bike.
And then fastest front split of the day went to Ash Gentle. Rounding out the podium was Lucy Charles Barclay for the win, Kate Woff 2nd, and Jess Learmonth 3rd. Ash Gentle 4th place, and then Caroline Pohl 5th place. So
yeah, a bit more in that. Like the dynamic seems to be pretty consistent in the women's race. There is that front bike group, and it is Lucy Charles Barclay if she's racing, Jess Learmonth if she's racing, Kate Woff, Taylor Knibb. If they're racing, they're in a front bike group, and they don't get caught, and the win comes from there, unless Julie Duron's in the race. And when you took them all out in the French race, well, it sort of came back together and, it was a bit of a different result. Ashley Jensen could get the win. But when some of those girls are racing together, at least 2 or 3 of those, that kind of 4 or 5, the win is going to come from there.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Yep. So obviously, Lucy Charles has taken a contrarian view or a contrarian way of training into Kona. But she's done 2 really great results in T100 London and T100 Spain. Where do we think this lands 3 weeks before the big show on the Big Island?
I'll take it first. It's no secret that Lucy doesn't race very often. Over the last, I would say 5-6 seasons, she only does 5 or 6 races. She's at that right now. The last time that Lucy raced this much before an Ironman World Championship, you have to go all the way back to 2017, where she got 2nd place, and that was her debut at the Ironman World Championship. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how the scope and the shift that Dan Lorang and Reese and everyone in her camp makes now going into the 3 weeks of the Ironman World Championship. And it'll be fun to follow. I mean, we got the women's race in Kona, I believe, is as stacked as maybe even more stacked than what we saw at the Ironman World Championship in Nice. So we've got people on some hot form. We got people starting to build into their season. I said before Nice that there's 12 favorites. Like, I don't think there's that many, but I think it's more than 5.
Yeah.
I tend to agree. I think it's actually like people used to race 70.3 3 or 4 weeks before the Ironman World Championships. That was the norm.
It falls back into that old, like how
Yeah.
we were almost 10 years ago.
I think it bodes very well for her because it shows that she's got a healthy resilience that she hasn't had in the last few years. She's been injury prone, she's had some health issues, etc. And the fact that she's able to race repeatedly makes me think, you know, she's really healthy. I will say, I think she's winning these T100 races at borderline Ironman pace. Like, if you look at the Strava files from that race and you look at her run pace, she ran about the same pace for 18K as Laura Philipp did for the first 18K in Hamburg. Like a tiny bit faster. So I don't think she came into that fresh. Like, I think she came into it loaded full of training. That's kind of easy for her. I mean, she made that look easy, as she should do. Like, it's Lucy Charles. You know, people forget that she had the fastest run split in the 2021 70.3 World Champs because we've seen Lucy struggling with injuries. Like, the girl can really run. I don't see that race schedule being any negative for her, nothing but positive in confidence. And it's probably why she enters Kona as the race favorite.
Yep, I would agree.
Is this going to be the end of the story? Obviously, we put out a lot of information about what was going on with Hayden Wild. Is this the end of the story? Is there any rumors, anything going on?
Yeah, I'm led to believe, look, this has been front and center for us on social and in our podcast for, I don't know, the better part of 2 weeks now. I think that we will, for now, end up pausing this unless some new information comes to light. We are led to believe that World Triathlon is still investigating this based on 2 pieces of precedent, right? In 2021, World Triathlon disqualified Kenji Neener after a race had taken place. New evidence was presented that he cut a can. And so, as we saw in a response to a federation that did file a protest after the window closed, World Triathlon said, hey, we can't actually disqualify somebody if a protest has not been made. That's been refuted by this case that happened in 2021 when Kenji Neener was disqualified after nobody filed a protest. That's part 1. Part 2 of the fact is Hayden has now said, I was racing in shoes that were not legal, period. Now, where this comes into play, again, they'll say, well, nobody protested it. Let's just think of a scenario where an athlete races a bike with a motor in it. And then 2 weeks later says, hey, I actually need to be disqualified because I was racing on a bike with a motor in it, which is illegal. So that seems to be pretty clear. I would say precedent that if an athlete admits to racing with illegal equipment, something must be done about it. The T100 pays World Triathlon a ton of money every year for them to effectively be in charge of their series from a rules standpoint. So the T100 is saying, hey, look, you guys are in charge of this decision because we pay you to be in charge of this decision. Please make a ruling on it. So I don't think that it's done. I think that it's an unfortunate situation that Hayden has put himself into on 2 occasions between the shoes and the water bottles. And my personal opinion is that he hasn't handled it well on the back end. But for now, we're going to be done talking about it after this.
We will digress.
Yeah, I'm kind of just want it to be done. I do think what I thought about the other day is, do you remember when Yam won Milwaukee and he'd forgot to take his swim skin off and he gave it to a referee like just after the exit of T1 and people called out they should be disqualified? I mean, technically he should have been like deliberate littering, etc. Do you remember what he said about it? Absolutely nothing. Didn't say anything. Just let it blow over and it went away. And I think we caught some flack for posting the bottle video, but we didn't bring it up again. It got called out by some staged video where there was clearly modifications made to try and like clear his name. And I just wish that like just let it go, like don't say anything. And I think I realize that now. I would have reacted like he had. I didn't think about like the consequences of how many nerds there are, like me and others looking out there like, oh, but that's clearly a slightly different bottle. Oh, we'll pick you up from that. And it just spirals and snowballs. I reckon if he'd just not said a single word, this would have just blown over.
I agree.
So,
Cool.
moving on. The big news that came out also this week was the Race Ranger data from the T100 race that happened in Frejus. Going forward, they've introduced the fact that they're going to post this data now. Super huge. Obviously, the first people to do it was Felix and co at Challenge Roth, and then now we're finally getting this data that has existed for a long time, but now we're finally able to kind of dive in and dissect it.
Yo.
What?
We're not going to name any names. What I'm going to say here. No. But this is a perfect dovetail into what we just spoke about. Because unfortunately, in our sport right now, the court of public opinion is what seems to have the most amount of weight when it comes to rule enforcement. And here's what I can guarantee you by the surprise, because World Triathlon and T100 have taken a very different tone and tenor with what they were protecting this information less than 2 months ago. They said this information will never be made public. They said this is personal.
They said no.
They said this is personal data. We're not going to share this. And all of a sudden it flipped and they go, we're going to make it all public. The people that were on the side of doing the most amount of yo-yos are going to be taking a much different position in the field moving forward, now knowing that this is going to be public. And so I just think this is a great example of a little public scrutiny will go a very long ways for this sport to be, for the rules to be abided by moving forward.
What do you reckon, Kat?
Mm-hmm.
Kat's just joined us because she's bored, and she came up and said, "Are you done yet? I want to play." Do you think the court of public opinion would have, like with race range data being released, do you think it has more impact on athletes drafting or not drafting than just the simple rules do?
Way more.
You need to elaborate. It's a podcast.
Oh, I think that having public opinion has way more effect on the athletes, sadly, because they should be following the rules anyway, but it does have way more effect on the athletes' behaviour.
So you would like all the data to be released? Always?
If everyone believes the data is presented fairly and well.
Which I think it has been so far. The data that
There's
Felix...
just loads of comments online about people not really believing that, oh, what about this part of the course or this part of the course, or how does this
You're talking
work?
about the neutral zones and stuff they have, like on the lap courses for T100, sometimes they have like this neutral zone of like drafting or yo-yoing is allowed in this area.
So, but the problem with there is then it just becomes so questionable that you don't really understand the data you're looking at. Like I really like the way they present, like this is only shown as drafting once you've been in the zone more than the allowed period of time. Mm-hmm. Like the number of yo-yos is actually really interesting because it's like you went in, you went out without making a pass on one athlete. That to me is almost more relevant than the total time in the draft.
Oh, 100%.
That's every time you do that, that should be a penalty. So look at a yo-yo as that's a penalty.
And I would, again, I'm not going to single out any names here, but I am going to say that there's a theme of the worst offenders were, there were two things. One, they were going to be towards the back of the race anyway, or two, they weren't the names that the media motos were going to be following with cameras as much, right? So you were in this position of, okay, I can get away with it a little bit more here because I'm one, A, at the back of the race, or two, because there's no media motos with me, right? I think you're going to see very, very different behavior moving forward from those athletes that are at the back of the race or purely don't have the media motos with them anymore. That's what this data did. So I'm not, the people that were in the yo-yo zone the most, no hard feelings. I don't care. I don't think any less of you. But how you decide to move forward from this point in time going forward, when we now know that it's all going to be public, I think is very different. And I think athletes now knowing that it can be public and all it needs is the light switch to be flipped on are going to be acting very differently in line.
Now we just need one more organization to release this data. So, Ironman, we're looking at you. When are you going to drop that data?
It just needs someone. If there's only someone with like a semi amount of clout that could ask the question in the athlete brief.
Is it athletes only in the athlete?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it?
If I feel it's appropriate in the time, but I will not be peer pressured in by PTN.
Feel free to message her and make her ask the question. You can DM her, or I'll say her phone number after this, and pressure her into asking the question.
You just go comment like a hands up emoji on every one of her Instagram posts moving forward.
Yeah, hands up emoji on Kat's Instagram posts if you think she should ask the question, will you release the data in Kona? We'll like that. She'll know.
Another race that happened this weekend was the Super Tri race in Jersey. If you want to go back and rewatch it, it was super exciting. Kind of wet and wild racing. Will McCloy had amazing calls on the mics. So go back and rewatch that.
He was good, actually, wasn't he? He's always good. Will McCoy's one of the best commentators going.
I texted him his what he said across the line, and I said, "One hand on the championship, chills." It was so good. So Jean Lahair won that race on the women's side, and then on the men's side was won by Sungar Lehman. But please go back and watch that race because it was really, really good.
Because they're dying. They feel like they're dying a bit. Ironman series is getting really good. T100 is really good, and I just feel there's less hype, less athletes because there's less Olympic athletes racing really hard, so they're not really doing the Super League as much this year. But actually, it's really entertaining, and it's a short, quick watch, and I think it would be a shame to lose it. So if you haven't watched one yet, just go watch the next one, then make your mind up for yourselves. I think they're really good.
Yeah. The other big races this weekend, since Talbot's not here, we can talk about the other races.
Oh, should we do like half an hour on each one? Because Talbot's not here.
Ironman Wales, won by the German Franziska Hoffmann.
But there were 2 qualification slots for Kona.
So the second
Rosie
slot
Wild got the second slot, who is a friend of ours. She's on all of our WhatsApp groups. She's an army girl, double hard parachute P company, first female in history to pass it, and she's gone and bagged a Kona slot for next year with a run battle that came down to 15 seconds and they duped it out for 20k. But anyway, sorry, that was that.
And then rounding out the podium was Katie Flipkin,
who's also coached by a friend of mine that lives down the road. So love that race. Good for you guys.
When you look at this race on like the tracker and you see the times, that does not tell the whole story. This is one of the hardest Ironmans on the circuit.
I think it's the hardest now. I always thought Bolton was slightly worse. I think basically the UK has the worst ones. Wales is the hardest Ironman on the circuit. It's a choppy sea swim. The run up to fucking T1, Kyle, is 500 meters up a cliff face zigzag coastal path where you can pick your shoes up at the bottom and run up it, and you gain like 100 meters of elevation to get to T1. It's horrible. So, and the weather, mate, today was nice but cold. It was torrential downpour rain all day. Wales in September. It's the hardest Ironman on the circuit. I'm putting it out there. Kona is not that hard. Wales is much harder.
And then our boy Manuel Messias, who has the fastest run split of the Ironman run, won the race at 70.3 Brazil, and Jennifer Arnold rounded up the women's race. There was also 70.3 Cozumel this weekend, and that was won by Rodrigo Gonzalez on the men's side and Celia Perez on the women's side.
2 names that sound like they deserve to win Cozumel. Gonzalez and Perez. Love it.
So, moving on, can we talk about Talbot's not here, so we can do whatever I want. Ironman Chattanooga is coming up this weekend. Sam Long's on the start list. Trevor Foley's on the start list. Peter Hemrich's on the start list. Cam Werf's on the start list. Jasper Svenningson's on the start list. And let's go with Matthew Collins is on the start list.
Right. So the reason they're on the start list is it's a cheap way to qualify for Kona next year. Straight off, you've got to have traveled across. It's 2 weeks after the Ironman World Champs. None of the big hitters are going to go do it. But actually, some of those names are quite good hitters, like Cam Worth's no slouch. Sam Long had a good race in Nice. Trevor Foley's no slouch. Like, it's a hard way to qualify, but it's also the easiest way to qualify.
And it's got a pretty good prize purse, 100 grand on the line.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
On the men's side.
Yeah. And then, I mean, this is still current assist, right? So, I mean, no offense, but the people that you named are going to love the swim here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Pat, that's not fair. Cam Worth's a swimmer.
Well, I mean, sometimes,
Cam-
yes. Yeah,
Cam
he
Worth
had a
can
pretty
occasionally swim.
every once in a while. There were two other ones that I had flagged there, but
He'll listen to the show, and Cam, we apologise for lumping you in with Sam Long and Trevor Foley.
well, I didn't.
Cam will take that back.
I will take that back. But Cam, I don't think is going to end up racing. To be fair,
No, of course he's not. He's on every Ironman start list all year. Pretty sure he was on Wales. There was only a women's pro field.
And then they did change the bike course on this race, so there's no course maps out and available or anything like that, but it is a different course, newer course, so that'll be exciting to see how it pans out. There's 43.
Is Chat current assisted swim as well, or is that not Cozumel? Are they both current assisted?
They're both current assisted swims.
Oh, okay, cool. Right.
Yeah, 4,300 feet of elevation gain on the bike, making it pretty nice and hilly. And then the run course is usually right in through town. No massive changes on that one. So
cool.
Also shout out Travis at Daily Try. He's doing the race as well. So good luck, Travis.
Good luck, mate.
Next is 70.3 Augusta.
This is the showdown.
I believe Lionel is still a question mark for this race. Talbot's not here, but Lionel is a big maybe for this race. But then you also have Sam Appleton, who's been on a tear. He's won, I believe, 3 or 4 races in a row now. Jason West coming off of his DNF at Nice. Ben Canute, who seems to be on good form. Ari Clow. Jackson Laundry, who has more running legs now than he did pre-injury and doing his other race. Kevin McDowell, who's been racing lights out. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Can we say it would be stupid for Lionel to do this race? I don't know what the point is. Unless he's doing speed sessions already and stuff. I don't really understand.
I think he should just not wait. I don't think he should race until 70.3 Worlds.
I would agree.
I actually never. I mean, Mark will know this. I don't ask my athletes about any of their trainings, really. So I actually have no idea what he's doing other than what I see all of you guys watch on YouTube as well. So that's the extent.
What Buddy Talbot chooses to show. So that could be anything.
Exactly.
Well,
all right.
If we had it Talbot's way, we wouldn't even talk about this race. So
let's just say Appleton for the win to make it 5 70.3 wins in a year.
Yeah. On the women's side, you got Paula Finley and Jackie Herring going toe to toe.
You don't need to go further than the first one. Paula Finley wins this. I love Jackie Herring, but it's a fairly average field domestic US race.
I'm gonna add one more name that is gonna round out the podium. Lydia Russell. There you go. And then I think
shred it.
I think I overlooked. There is a women's field at Chattanooga. No heavy hitters, no big names, but Simone Mitchell, Rudy Von Berg's missus, is going to be doing the race. So I'm going to take her for the win.
Sure, she's a nice lady, and I haven't looked at the rest of the field, so I'm not just picking on that. I don't know them, so Simone's.
We're at a lot of time, and we have a lot of hot takes from Ironman World Championship in Nice. Do you guys want to just roll through these and just go yes or no?
Oh my god,
these were all submitted from the fans.
Well, we've got to do the hot takes. We've got to.
We haven't done hot takes in a while.
Can I open with one that I really want to see somebody take on and just evolve the sport a little bit?
Okay.
Can we please do post-race press conferences instead of pre-race press conferences? So can you take the top 3 that finish, put them side by side at a table, and then interview them for some open and honest feedback and answers?
But they do this in some races. So they did this in Hamburg, and honestly, it's the problem is you need more podcast bros in the room, and you need less actual media to ask. Because do you know the problem with these is that pro athletes don't have the balls to tell the actual media to fuck off afterwards. What they do is they sit there, and we suffer through these press conferences, and no one asks a question from the actual media. They sit there in silence, and then Kyle asks some questions just to keep it interesting. And then afterwards, the media go up to the athlete and they say, "Can I ask you a few questions?" And the athlete says, "Sure." What the athletes need to do is flat out refuse, so that the only way that the media get the answers they want is to ask good punchy questions in those interviews.
So, and what I'm saying is this should actually just be conducted by the race. The T100 or Ironman, whoever, World Triathlon should have effectively a producer-fed line of questions that generates much more interest than what we get at these normal post-race press conferences. But I think that would just be a really big change that I'm looking for. And I'll use, I'll use football and F1 as the example. They get amazing sound bites for their sport at the post-race press conferences.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the listener submitted hot takes.
Okay. We're going to roll through these. Martin Van Riel, big surprise or no?
If he was healthy, it'd have been even better. He is the one threat to the Norwegians in Kona next year, I reckon. Maybe Laidlaw.
Laidlaw with a good swim would have won, yes or no?
No.
I think he would say no. He ran past us. We didn't say on the podcast. He ran past me and Pat, and had just been dropped by the Norwegians, and he went, "Fuck, these boys are good." And that's what he said to us mid-run. Even he would say they were just better on that day. But he would have been. It would have
made the race more interesting because presumably he would have come out front. He would have put 4 more minutes into him, and then we would have seen like this slow, hunt situation on the run. It would have made the race.
It would have been a bigger crescendo.
It would have been cool.
Yeah. And you throw him in the dynamic of that front group, drags the front group even further ahead. Martin Van Riel doesn't have to do so much work. Like it's way more interesting than just Sam v the Norwegians. But I still think the Norwegians win.
Nice is harder than Kona,
obviously. Well, no.
I'm going to say it's very different. It's very different than Kona. Kona, you see these epic blow-ups given the heat, right? Mm-hmm. You can see a guy like Leon Chevalier run his way he comes in the 20s and runs his way into the top 5. We don't see that in Nice because we got a day that was 74 degrees, low humidity, and there's a big breeze. So we didn't see these epic blow-ups on the run. But you can in Kona, I just think anything can happen. I mean, Sam had a 8-minute lead off the bike and completely blew it. Ended up losing another 35 minutes or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Like, it's just absolutely crazy. So no, I don't think that's fair. We haven't, and we haven't seen, it's been 20 years since we saw a windy day in Kona. I got a buddy that's in Kona right now, and he's like, dude, we had an insanely windy day. We just haven't seen that in a very, very long time, but we're going to get it one of these years.
Nice is better world champs than Kona.
For me, yes. Not for the hype, not for the atmosphere, that sort of stuff. Though, actually, the town's better. Everything's better about going there. I prefer the race because I like a race. I don't want it just to be an attrition. I don't want it to be who survives one component of sport, i.e. heat, the best. And Nice gives you that. There's kit advancements. There's less drafting. The run course is way more spectator friendly. For me, and I've always said it, I think Nice is better.
I think that if we would have had the race we had last week in 2023, I think Nice would have stood a chance at the rotating world championship thing. The only thing is the split. The split is what killed it.
No. Scott Deroux and his crew sent out for feedback, and they got very clear feedback from their core customers, which are the age groupers, who wanted it to be and remain at Kona. And that's how they made their decisions on how to move forward. I wanted the split to work. I was optimistic that there would the weaning process. I don't blame Andrew Messick for trying. I thought we could be weaned from Kona. We can't be. Yeah. Ironman doesn't love that the mayor of Kona could just shut down this race at any point. They don't like that their brand is so tied to an island that's got a very, I would say, flimsy relationship at best, right? The locals don't love when we come there. it's just a very, we're walking on eggshells every time we're there, and the race knows that. But the customers really want to race on the Big Island.
Yeah, it's fair. The obstacle kayak was an obstacle in the swim. I don't remember that.
Yeah, someone swam into the side of it. Was it Magnus or someone just swam straight into the side of a kayak?
Yep,
Uh,
it was.
It was just bad. It's a single marshal that just it's hard in the sea. You're trying to corral all that stuff. One person not quite experienced enough. Whatever. Let's move on.
The double Omius band. So we saw this on a few athletes. They had the Omius band on the head, and then they had one on their neck. So the neck cooling is a new thing that's going to be released by Omius soon. So it's supposedly it's going to cool a lot better, or maybe a little bit more efficiently because of where it's located on your neck. So be on the lookout for
there's
that.
more coming out. Wait till you see Kat's tri-suit for Kona. It's just one big Omius wrap. It's also really aero because it like the dimples are in it down the sides, so she just looks like a spiky ball.
Well, I'm excited to see that. I can't wait.
It looks proper Chad.
Ironman needs to be on YouTube in the USA and Europe for races.
It is
or
get
Europe
a
races
VPN.
because
It's not
there's no
difficult.
rewind.
Ironman needs to kind of sharpen up their broadcast product a little bit more. And I think that could be done in a number of different ways, but I think one, removing it from outside and owning it in-house, and I'm less concerned over the platform that they're putting it on. But it has been made clear to me from people that sponsor and look for properties in this space that the broadcast product needs some improvement.
I would love nothing more than for it to be on ESPN Plus. There's so much random sports on ESPN Plus that it would just make sense for Ironman to be on that app.
Frisbee golf's on there. You know, like
what are we doing? What are we doing? Skipper's career is done. This is a hot take that was submitted.
Well, you can answer it.
I'm not going to take that one.
I think that there's a time and a place for everyone in the sport, and Joe Skipper is continuing to ride the wave, and you can be an athlete that rides the wave all the way until you get to shore, or you can ride the wave and crash out before you get to the shore. So
I'm going to actually take this one on. If an athlete is having fun and enjoys their job, my hope is that they can make it work for as long as possible. I have no idea of Joe Skipper's financial situation. For all I know, he's got a massive trust fund, and he can just do this for as long as he wants.
Skipper does not have a massive trust fund. However, his wife's a doctor. He invests quite well. He's just and he loves his life. So
then and every time I see him, he seems happy. So God bless him. He can do whatever the hell he wants. And people that say he should be done, nah, I'm not gonna subscribe to that. So
well said, Pat.
Yeah.
Is there tension in the Norwegian camp now?
Casper's gone. They can't. Yeah. KB and Gustav are sick of Casper's ego now. He's won. They've thrown him out the team, and they are going about it. They're going back to Olav. Casper's going to Arrow. That's it.
And then KB's going to the Tour de France 2026.
Tour de France. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And Gustav's taking up downhill mountain bike racing.
No, there's no tension on the Norwegian team. These guys have trained together for the last 15 years.
We just heard it. I'm joking because we literally just heard it from the boy.
I just want to make sure that people that don't understand sarcasm realize the answer to that question. Alternating Nice Kona would be better for the pros and hardcore fans.
We've covered this.
We've beat this to a pulp.
Yeah.
Casper was never an underdog. False. He was always. I would say he was always the underdog going into this race.
He was the underdog because of the two people he trained with.
Correct.
Had that limelight.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have talked about him. But even though he's never won an Ironman.
He was the favorite going into 70.3 Worlds in New Zealand. Remember that?
Yeah. But he was one of the underdogs. But if you picked him and we didn't, you can say he was never an underdog, and you are smarter than we are, which doesn't really say a lot.
You could never win a world championship now without running a 2:30.
Yeah, Kona, you can. There's still 7 minutes off that in Kona. 6.5 in Gustav's illegal shoes. There's still 6.5 minutes off it. Someone will go real close this year, but 2:30 in that heat is and elevation is mental.
Yeah. Norway would have won on any course. I think they've proved that now. Every one of them have won on a different Ironman World Championship course. Kona,
Yep.
St. George, and Nice.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see who win. Well, there's a lot of storylines for Kona next year. We won't get into that right now, but it's going to be a very fun year next year to kind of think about and hypothesize what could happen. Norway wins the 70.3 World Championship.
Without Hayden Wild there, they've just got three. It's like three options. If you say Norway, and I could maybe argue Yelagines or whatever, if he's doing it, I don't even know.
He is.
Yeah, fine. But if you're just saying Norway, well, of course, that's a way better bet.
Yeah.
It's just a better bet.
Or Canada, I guess. Was KB fit or fucked?
Bet.
No, I think he's super fit.
I think he was fit.
I just think
Failing one workout doesn't change.
Yeah,
it doesn't
I think Casper just
set
race
the
smart.
tone.
I think KB will look at 2 moments where he thinks, okay, could I have won it here? One, if I would have been a little bit more patient on the bike and been a little bit more reserved and just said, like, accepted that everyone was looking at me and goes, okay, I'm actually just going to own that and give these guys a gap. And then obviously Casper talked about on the pod an hour ago, look, they're dropping sub 320 or 320 kilometers. If he would have just stuck to schedule and ran the 330s, and then what would have happened in the final 10K at that point, right?
Yeah.
I think it boils down to those 2 moments for KB. KB had a great swim. He had an amazing bike, but he maybe just pushed it a little too hard in those 2 moments.
I agree.
Nick Thompson celebrates harder than Casper Stornes. I believe that that's true, just given the fact that Casper wanted to celebrate with his team and his family, and Nick wanted to go out and party with Jamie Riddle. So,
yeah, and Nick Thompson's good for the sport. He's got a huge fan base in Australia, a lot of hype around him. I mean, fair play to the guy. And he seems like a bit of a lad as well, so I quite like it.
We've already covered this rotation stuff. I'm not going to do that again. No. KB will never win another world championship.
No.
Oh God! If you're betting on that, you're an idiot.
We got lucky here that none of us picked him and that he didn't win. But I'm going to say that right.
Yeah,
we got proper lucky. All of us on the pod getting away with that.
We would have ended at episode 240 and just been like, we're done, guys.
So this is going to be the last. That's going to be the first and only time that the 4 of us don't pick them.
100%.
That's never happening again.
It reminded me of that time none of us, when we did the live show preview for St. George Ironman World Champs, and none of us picked Daniela, and then she goes and wins and puts up a 5 right at the finish line.
Yeah, it just so.
Yeah, she was quite good.
Why is everything compared to the Iron War? Well, unfortunately or fortunately, our sport is married to the fact that we had 2 Americans go toe-to-toe for the better part of a marathon that are considered from their era the GOATs. And we have not seen anything remotely close to that until this year. And so that's more than likely why it was compared to that.
And let's remember for a second, those 2 guys each won the thing 6 times. So, like, we don't need to talk about was the era different, whatever. They each won that race 6 times. Insanely impressive. And I think that is, the history books will continue to look back on that moment in time and put it at a pretty high standard, right? I
agree, but you can't compare it to that because the sport is professionalized. There's everything. there's way more depth, way more money. There's anti-doping. There's all sorts of like factors involved that make it so much. Basically, there's just more better people now, so we will never have that rivalry again. Because you know what? Some new kid will come along. Some Sam Laidler will tip up on the scene and rip 10 minutes into people off the bike. And then some Norwegian hype train will come along. And hopefully in the future, some Jamie Riddle will come along and sort it back out, whatever, you know. But there just wasn't that back then. So they just had it to themselves.
And how cool is it that we're in a sport that we talk about like the history of an event? Like NFL, NBA, they all do this. They all talk about who's the next Michael Jordan going to be? Who's the next Tom Brady going to be? And sometimes you have to look backwards at moments in history to like see where we're at now.
But you always look at history through rose-tinted lenses. It's always, you know, every old guy sat on a park bench is like, it was better in my day. And he forgets when he got sacked from the mine he worked in and there was no money in his town or whatever. Like, we always remember the history without all the flaws that we see in the current sport. We complain about the coverage, we complain about the rules, we complain about this. And then we don't talk about how bad that was back in the day, just drafting the TV car for 180k, riding crazy splits. And then like random people handing you shit all around the course and no drug testing and all sorts of bollocks. Like, we don't remember all that. We just remember Iron War.
Yeah. Next one is Martin Van Riel wins Kona next year.
Could happen. Honestly, could happen.
I think that it's going to be a different Belgium that's going to be the threat next year.
Remco Evenepoel.
No.
After riding 2.5 minutes into Tadej Pogacar today in the time trial.
Yeah, I think you look. So you're hinting at Yelageen's coming over. I think that's a likely scenario. I that's all I'll say on that. Yeah, throw his hat in the ring.
But Martin Van Riel wins Kona next year? Maybe. Yes. No. Maybe.
You're gonna have a lineup where there's gonna be 10 dudes there again that can win it. I think.
Yeah, I agree. But yes, possibly.
We covered that one about the split. If you swim more than 5 minutes down, you'll never podium at a world championship again.
If you're a man, if you're a woman, I reckon it's still possible because you got Lucy Charles, and it's she's just an uber swimmer, you know. And that gap 5 is not, you know. Laura Philipp would be 5 minutes down on Lucy Charles, definitely in Kona. Can she still win it? Yeah, of course she can.
Yeah,
But a man, I agree.
Right now. Center lane violations from the race.
Who cares? I'm glad there were none called.
I don't think, and we didn't see anything egregious on the broadcast. Did we?
There was like Jamie Riddle where he came out on the corner and then he took the next one and he
but I mean that.
But who cares?
I think that safety plays a factor into this course. Like, it's kind of safer to go across the center line than it is to
bullshit. Bullshit. That's just a nonsense athlete's argument because they want to ride faster. They all ride that course all the weeks before it, and they can't cross the center line because they'll get killed by a car, and they all manage it just fine. So saying I want to cross the center line because it's safer is bullshit. They just want to full send it.
Yeah.
You can absolutely just go slower and not cross the line.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, you're the expert.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, cool.
Glad we all agree on that. Laidlow brought the Norwegians back on the bike.
Yes, he really did, by the way. They were losing time. They'd gone to 2.5 minutes. They were struggling a bit, and Laidlow brought them back. But they ran so much faster that I don't think it matters.
It wouldn't have mattered.
But he did bring them back. It's an accurate hot take, but it's not. I don't think it impacted that whole result.
If Ironman, we only have a couple more left. If Ironman doesn't move to 20 meters, we will never get a battle like Nice again.
This is a little bit more complicated question. And I think we've hit the 20-meter thing super hard. I think that we all want it to be at 20. And I think for Kona, it should be at 20. Now, say Ironman wants to be different and they go, okay, we're going to call it 18, or we're going to call it 22, or even we're going to call it 16. I think that would be such an improvement, and it would shake up the race in Kona. Otherwise, if it stays at 12, we are going to see, again, 20, 25, 30 guys down the Queen K. and then we will see a super fast run subsequent from that.
Yes, agree. And it'll be boring.
And last but certainly not least, the Norwegian method is in fact not dead.
It is dead. It's totally dead. The Norwegian method is Olav doing 4-hour monologues on Jack Kelly talking about fucking lactate testing, exact data points, every metric, tablets up the arse and dildo down the throat, whatever it was. Like, it was all this weird shit, and it was all so data driven. And what did Casper just say? We're not doing any of that stuff anymore. We're making it up. They're training in a completely different way, and they're still winning. So the Olav Norwegian method is dead. The Norwegian boys are very much alive, my opinion.
Yep.
Couldn't said it.
I want to close on that. These seem like three dudes that are having fun, right? And you can't quantify that with a training value, but these three guys seem like they're having a good time. They had Christian and Gustav had, as part of their sponsorship, On Running brought 4 up and coming athletes into a house with them for 2 weeks heading into world championships. Think about what kind of athlete it takes to agree to that, because it is just such an interruption to your life. And I'm just blown away with how easygoing these three guys are. And ultimately that brings them and yields them a ton of extra watts on race day.
Speaking of three guys that just love having fun, thanks for joining the show today. Me, Mark, and Pat really enjoyed all of the love we received in Nice. And moving forward, up until the Ironman World Championship in Kona for the women, we will be joined by Talbot Cox and Steph Clutterbuck leading into that race. And we will be basically putting all of our efforts focused on the women's race. We'll be covering that over the next couple weeks leading into that. And we'll see another amazing, spectacular battle. And if you want to hear about all of it, you know where to go. Pro Tri News. Have a good one.